Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And it is Women Empowerment Wednesday. You know, this is my purpose. This is my passion. So if you watched this before, if you haven't, this is a time that I have a real conversation with you, just you and I. And so it's December. A lot of things happen in December. One, it's my birthday month, December 15th. So mark that on your calendars. Another thing that happens in December is we start thinking about the things that we're thankful for, and we start looking at how we can do things better. 2020, it's been a roller coaster ride for a lot of us, right? We came into 2020 like, I'm getting double blessings, double this and all that. Then COVID came. So another thing that we do is we look at how we can move forward to the next year, right? And so I want to tell you something really quick. When you have to think about your business or starting a business, and I'm going to start with this. I'm a mother of three kids. A lot of you know that. My oldest is Dallas. And when Dallas turned 16, I went to Dallas before he turned 16 and I said, Dallas, what do you want for your sweet 16? Like, what kind of party do you want? Like, do you want a party? Do you want a car? Like, what do you want? And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, okay. So me, his mom, who wants to give him the world, I went to the Wonderworks. It's the upside down house on I Drive. But I went to Wonderworks and I was looking at renting the entire, it's called the basement, but it's really the top floor because everything's backwards. I got a quote. I got a quote for a caterer. I got a quote for a van that could pick his friends up from the high school and take them to Wonderworks. I also, because I'm extra, if you don't know by now, I'm a little extra. I do things extra. I also, at the time, was working for the Orlando airport. So I went to the executive airport. I found out how much it costs to get a hangar, how much a DJ costs, how much it costs for the food, that same shuttle to get his friends from the school to the hangar. I even asked one of my friends who's a pilot, could he taxi him in? So we'd have this party, we'd open up the hangars, and my son would be taxiing in on this two-seater plane, and he'd hop out the plane and like we'd kick the party off, right? I had big dreams for my son. I had grandiose dreams for my son. There was no budget that I had. I wanted him to celebrate this milestone in his life. Because I'm his mom, I wanted the best for my son. So as we got closer and closer to his birthday, I kept asking him, Dallas, what do you want? Because at the end of the day, it was his life. It's his choices. It's whatever he wanted for him. And he never said anything. And so we went to Cheddar's for dinner. Now, I love Cheddar's, y'all. Them biscuits at Cheddar. I love the croissants. But compared to what I had taken the time to research and that there was no budget for my son because I wanted to give him the world, because he didn't open his mouth and say what he wanted, because he didn't walk in a direction and give me the direction to get what he wanted, he got what just we did. We went to dinner. And so this is the way that I want you to know that God looks at you at your business and he looks at you in your life. You have to tell him what you want, but he wants to give you the world. He wants to give you his best. He has things that you can't even imagine or fathom, but you have to be able to express it and you have to do the work. You have to do the work. One of the things also for my son, I said, if you keep your grades up and you do your chores, I'll do whatever you want. That was a contingency. So are you doing what it takes to have the business that you want? Are you doing what it takes to have to be the best executive at your company so you can start your own business one day? And so I'm going to ask you three questions. What are you worth? What's your value? How much is your intellectual property worth? What is it worth? Who determines your value? Are you setting your price or are you allowing someone else to set the price of your intellectual property that you've amassed over years? And then, did you add tax? Did you? Okay. So this is the whole point of this is when you're thinking about this year and what has happened in 2020, we all have had losses. We've had great losses and some have had some successes. I lost my great grandmother, who's the matriarch of my family. I understand the losses that we've had. But when you're looking at moving forward, what do you want 2021, 2030, 2040, 2050 and beyond? What do you want that to look like? And what are you willing to do today to make those things differently? So today is Women Empowerment Wednesday. It's all about you, the entrepreneur, her. And I have some dynamic speakers for you today. I'm so excited because each of one of them have nuggets for you. We're going to go into a sponsor break with Duke Energy. And when we come back, we'll have the phenomenal, amazing woman by the name of Kai. And she's going to give you so much information and she's going to really, really pour into your soul. I'm so excited. And I'll talk about it more on the back end about how amazing this woman is. So we're going to a sponsor break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
At Duke Energy, it is their privilege, policy, and practice to proactively seek
and build relationships with diverse suppliers. Through supplier diversity, they build relationships with diverse businesses capable of providing commodities and services at competitive prices. Those relationships also help to strengthen economic and improve business opportunities for everyone. This is done by the 3-point approach: educate customers and employees, assist customers, and improve performance. Thank you to Duke Energy for supporting Women Empowerment Wednesday. All right, we're back. We're back in business. So today I'm so excited because I met you, and I'm gonna tell the story of how I met you. And I've told her this before, right? So I was a young grasshopper in construction in a meeting in Orlando. And I go into this room. Now, anyone in construction, ladies, you know, it's not a lot of African-American women in construction, not a lot of African-American women in leadership in construction. So I go into this meeting that Lane Construction is hosting. And I go in, and there's this woman that is commanding the room. She's not speaking loud. She has this presence. She's tall, beautiful, red suit. And she and I are the only Black women in the room, one. And then two, when she speaks, men are coming and flocking to her, and you can tell that she is running the show. And I was drawn to her. And the conversation, when she did her presentation, the intellectual property that she owned and possessed at that time was just, I said, okay, I got to know enough so that when I go into a room, when I'm speaking to someone in construction, that I can present myself the same way. So from that moment on, I've told her this story that I was like, okay, note to Kimberly. Kim gonna be a bad chick who can command a room, right? And know her stuff so that it doesn't matter who steps to me. We want to talk square footage. You want to talk concrete curb. You want to talk specs. You want to talk, P3s, whatever you want to discuss in construction. Let's have that conversation. And this was this woman. Mm-hmm. And so she reached out to me maybe you moved from Lane and you went to another construction company. We're going to talk about that, engineering construction company. And then we got a chance to connect through LinkedIn. And we've had a meeting, and now you're here. I'm so excited.
So am I.
So let's find out. Let's go get right into the questions. Okay.
Right, perfect.
Tell us about your journey to this point. Your education, your career, and some of the sacrifices you had to make to get to this point. Mm-hmm. So who are you?
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Again, thank you for inviting me to Women Empowerment Wednesdays, because I think this is such an important conversation and space for women. Yeah. So thank you again.
Oh, my pleasure.
And so my journey, I went to school in upstate New York, SUNY Albany. I graduated and had the opportunity to work in equal employment opportunity with a phenomenal group of women who just poured so much into me, yes. Who exposed me to amazing opportunities, put me in rooms and spaces where people kind of started to recognize that I had a passion for what I was doing. I was in public sector in New York State for about 17 years and decided to try out the private sector side. Yeah. And so I applied to Lane, they hired me, and it was a wild ride. I loved it. I had the opportunity to learn heavy highway construction. Yeah. And what you said earlier, it's just so, as you were introducing the topic, it makes so much sense, because when you first start in this industry, you're thinking, okay, I've got to learn my aspect of construction. Mm-hmm. I was supplier diversity. That's right. All I needed to know. But then after a while, I understood to get credibility, that's right. I needed to speak to the project managers, project that's engineers, right. Owners of the companies, right. and share my story, but also learn their story. That's right. Because I understood that in buying into their story, they bought into mine. That's right. And so I was with Lane for about 5 years. After that, I moved on to CNS Companies, where I am right now, and I manage their supplier diversity program. We are a full service architectural and engineering firm. About 53 years in existence. We've been in Orlando for about 15 years. And we just, it's a great team of people. I say for this type of work in construction, architectural engineering, to have real sustainable impact for small businesses, minority, women-owned businesses, you have to be able to connect with people about what they do and why it's important, but also share why our stories are important as well.
That's right. because I've said this before, a lot of times people think that in the United States that it's this melting pot. We're not a melting pot. We don't get into this pot and we lose our identity, we lose our essence, we lose our gifts that we bring to we are a tossed salad.
Mhm.
And so it's important that we have the lettuce. It's important that we have the tomato. It's important that we have the cucumber and the onions and whatever else you want to bring. It only makes it more robust. That's the only thing it does. It doesn't take away from the salad the more you add. So it's so important that women understand your importance in any environment, in any situation. You know, what is it if you just have a salad and it's just lettuce?
Right.
Who wants that? Nobody wants that.
No.
It doesn't sell. It doesn't add to creativity. So, you know, the whole point of Women Empowerment Wednesdays is to have women like you to come in to be able to share what you bring into the table so people can know their value. So let's go into speaking of bringing in things we go through. What obstacles have you faced in this, in making your footprint in this male-dominated industry? And so there are women that are watching that are in other male-dominated, but when we're talking about engineering, architecture, construction, what are some obstacles that you've had to overcome, and how did you overcome them?
Definitely. You know, I think being a woman of color in construction and now in architectural engineering, where you don't find very many of us, you know, you are the unicorn.
Yeah.
And so people very often think, well, you know, you're here because of a program, you're here because of a need. And especially right now with supply of diversity and overall topics of diversity being such a hot topic, people are like, oh yeah, you're here because of this issue.
Right.
And so I think getting past that to show people that, one, I have the integrity, I have the experience, I have the skills to be here. And I always say, when you're in whatever role you're in, you must own it. Like that salad, you have to be authentic. If you're onion, be authentic in your onion.
That's
Because
right.
that's the only way that you bring value. Because if you're interchangeable, you don't really bring a lot of value. So you have to own whatever you are, whatever, you know, your experiences are, you bring it.
Yeah.
And you share it in ways that people understand. It adds value.
It does.
And I think, you know, and so, you know, being a woman of color in construction, that was one of the challenges. One of the things I've always been very careful about is selecting the opportunity. Right? Not every opportunity is an opportunity for me.
And it could grow you out of business. A lot of things could happen if you're not wise in your selection process in life. Yeah.
I agree 100%. You know, I say to firms all the time, just because it's a great opportunity to make more money or to try something new, think about it. Really delve deep. Look under the hood. Make sure that it is right for you. Because if it's the wrong partner, it can be so detrimental to your company. So it's so important that, you know, you select the right opportunity, ensure that you're really assessing what you bring and how you can be successful, and that you have a partner who wants your success, who buys into that success as well.
So talking about partners and success and buying in, let's talk about some of the things that your company is doing to support women and to encourage women, business owners. So let's talk about that.
Definitely. At CNS, you know, we have a supply diversity program that is supported not only by our executives, but our project managers as well. And so, you know, we have internally a CNS Women's Network.
Okay.
Right. And I love it, because what we do is we invite women-owned businesses to come in and talk to us about what they do, but in a space that allows them to share their passion, their expertise, and share that with our internal folks who get to learn. And it's especially now in the COVID environment, we're doing more and more Zoom meetings and inviting people to come in to talk about what they do. But it gives especially those new and emerging entrepreneurs a safe space. Because having them come in to talk to our Women's Network before they meet the full company gives them people that they could look at in the room, right? So by the time they come in, they're comfortable in the CNS Women's Network. They get to see a few faces, ask them questions, interact. They're like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah.
Because we know the second time you come in, it takes a lot of that anxiety away.
Yeah.
So we've been doing that, and it's been, you know, hugely successful, but also, you know, attending a lot of conferences, meeting women, meeting minority-owned firms, inviting them to come in. And I'm not inviting them to just meet with our project managers. We're bringing in our executives so that they understand the value that these women
Your
and
value
women-owned
add.
business.
Yeah.
Right.
One thing I love that you're doing in that example is I always tell the story about when you look at supplier diversity, it is inviting someone to the dance, right? And some supplier inclusion is asking them to dance, right? But what if that person doesn't know how to dance? You've put them in a position where they're going to fail, right? Or they're going to look embarrassed. So by having this women's network, you're teaching them how to dance within your organization. And that's the next step. This is the next step of the evolution of supplier diversity, supplier inclusion, is really getting into the trenches and having it where that they can be successful at that particular agency, because every organization is different.
Exactly.
Everybody does a different dance. Everyone has a different culture. Everyone has a different way they do business. And so if I've taught you how to dance the electric slide, right?
I need to learn that.
Okay, well, we can do a cha-cha slide, electric slide, and do all those, right? I'm the queen of line dancing. So if I've taught you how to do the electric slide for CNS companies, you don't go to Turner Construction or Vodum Construction and do the cha-cha slide. That's not what they're doing. They may be doing a waltz, but you need to know that. And that's why it's imperative that those that are in supplier diversity, those that are in those roles, and those that are working for corporations, that they are indeed making sure they're really taking people in the trenches and teaching them the culture, the norms, the language, all of those things. So I'm very proud to hear that y'all doing that.
But thank you. I appreciate that. One of the other things we realized too is that supply diversity has to be mutual.
It does.
Right? It's not simply a diverse firm or a women-owned business coming in and talking to our company. It's also our company. We have a responsibility as well. And in that environment, we're able to allow a lot of the women in our company to understand the power that they have of influence.
Yeah.
And so, we're able to build on both areas, both the, exposing the women-owned businesses as well as helping our younger women and emerging professionals understand the power that they have. Who are you selecting? Why are you selecting them?
Right.
What's the value add, like you said?
Yeah.
What are some of the other things you may learn or glean from this women-owned business that you can ask another firm and then hold them accountable? Right.
Accountability all across the board.
Exactly.
So one of the things you talk about is mentorship, and you're a phenomenal woman. You're involved in so many sectors. She's already introduced me to other powerful women just because she wanted to. Nothing more than just you wanted me to be connected to other people. And you mentor other women. So what are some daily routines or frequent practices that you have just to stay balanced and mentally balanced? Because you have a lot going on. Like just peeping into your life for a day, I was like, "Whoo, she's busy."
And we all do, right? We all have so much on our plates right now, and it's so difficult. But I think of this idea of like the deep work. You remember there was a point, there was this time of, you do the regular stuff for your day to day, but then you have to do the deep work. And I think it's important as women for us to set a time to do deep work for ourselves, to kind of figure out, okay, where am I? How am I thinking? And how am I moving in whatever space that may be, processing in the back of your mind? So I set time to do deep work, to kind of really think about things. And the other thing I do is I keep a network of professional and personal women who I can bounce things off of and who bounce things off of me. Because one of the things you understand, especially as women-owned businesses in supply diversity as well, is that it can be very isolating. And it's important to have a very strong network of people who know you, who know where you're trying to aspire to, so that they can continue to keep you motivated and you can do the same for them.
Yeah, there's this saying that the loneliest role in the world is an entrepreneur, right? Because, and then I'm sure an executive too, because when you start your business, you're so focused, you're like horse with blinders on the success of that business. So everything is contracts, employees, operations, business growth, finances, sales. Like you're just so focused on this business that where it might have been a time where you're out doing more social events, but you're so focused now that it gets a little lonely. And sometimes it's really good as women that we do support each other, check in on each other,
Right.
invite that person to lunch, invite that person to a Zoom call just to see their face, But, a lot of times we're pouring to other people. And like you said, it's good to have people pour into you.
Mhm. Oh, so
And
important.
people who you can be authentic with. Somebody can call and be like, girl, let me tell you for real. You know what I mean? We don't, you need those people in your life as well. And then you need those people that's good, that are maybe on a different level and can look at you a different way. But it's very important as women business owners that we have a diverse group of women that support us and that we support. It's just like that, Sal. It's the same analogy. You need to have different people in your life.
I think it's important to have people that knew you before,
Yeah.
knew you now,
Yeah.
and who you want to know and to really know you in the future.
Right.
Because it does. It gives you a really good sense of yourself.
Yeah, it does.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I just last weekend I spent the weekend with my first best friend. We've been friends for 40 years.
Aw.
Like her, so from first grade.
Mhm.
And so she knows me in a way that other people that have come into my life now don't know me.
Mhm.
Right. So I am a little bit different, I guess. Not different because it's just another facet of me.
Right.
But she knows another facet of me that some people have not had the chance to know.
Exactly.
And so, I love that. I love that about the relationship that she and I have, and all those other ones I've known for a very long time.
Yeah.
So, what are some ways that women-owned businesses have cut costs? Let's talk about go back into the questions and go into. It's good to have a circle of women that can help you. It's good to have the resources. But as women business owners, sometimes we and being so laser focused on your business, there are some missteps that we take. So the question is, what are some things that you've seen over your years in supply diversity that women business owners are doing to cut corners, or just some bad practices that end up costing them a lot, either costing them contracts or costing them once they get the contract to lose the contract?
Yes.
What are some things that you've seen?
Definitely. I think one of the major things one major thing I've seen is women selling their experience short. Especially when you're a small or emerging new business, everyone hears about you. They're like, oh, this is great. I love your service, but they want it discounted.
Right.
And I always say, you teach people how to treat you, right? So if you give them these deep discounts, it's very hard to ever get to a place where they want to feel they pay full price. So I think it's very important, especially as women-owned businesses and emerging businesses, that you know your value and you know the value of your expertise, and you don't undercut yourself for future opportunities, because I think it's hard, once you're there and you're giving your 100%, because whether or not they have a 10% discount or a 70% discount, you're giving them the same 100% product.
That's right.
And so it's important, that women, I always say, know your value, know, again, when
it adds tax.
Yeah, I love that. It adds tax, right? And know when it's a relationship, you know that I will be able to recover, or those that will never be able to see the full value.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I see a lot. And then, like you were saying earlier, asking for what you want, asking for what you need. Very often, I see women-owned businesses. They know they need something coming into a negotiation and kind of hold back a little bit. But no, if this is something that when in your negotiation, whatever it is, negotiate for exactly what you need. And that way, I think you have the respect over time of whoever you're working with.
Yeah, because the thing about that, and I love your point, is that knowing your value and coming to the table, because in any industry, they know the value of your services or your products. They're going to negotiate with you, and then it's on you that you water down your price, right?
Exactly.
Or the other thing that I've seen too is in construction, you'll come to the table, that you need, a budget for a project manager, let's just say that, but you don't have it included. I'm not going to tell you should have the budget in there for a project manager. You should have known that. You want to do the work without the budget of a project manager or an additional project manager, no problem.
Right.
Make it happen.
Right.
And if you fail because you didn't plan. And I think that women-owned businesses, because we want to have a seat at the table so badly, because we're nurturers by nature, because we are just by nature, we want to be able to, and if we come to the table and we're like, no, I know what I need, I know what I want, then we're considered a bitch, or we're considered aggressive. We have all these negative connotations. But if John goes to the table and John says, this what I need, this is what's going to happen, I'm going to get this, he is, he knows his stuff.
Right.
John knows his business. We like that John fellow.
Right.
Right. So you
Very
still got to
true.
go and go in the same way John goes in and let them deal with whatever insecurities they have. And a lot of time, women-owned businesses, we don't do that.
Right.
And that's why I love the panelists that we, that today in particular, because you all have said, no, I know what I'm doing.
Know your value.
I know your value. So speaking of value in the industry, what are 2 industry updates or trends that women business should know and be aware of in your particular industry?
Well, I think I keep saying 2020 has been a challenging year. How are we positioning ourselves for 2021? And I think taking this time to really think about how industries will change, because we've seen that just about everything has changed. The way we are holding meetings, we're starting businesses, the services, everything is changing. But I believe that 2021 will be a banner year, especially in my industry, where we have a lot of public municipal, state agencies. I believe that the next year you're going to see a real sharp incline of opportunities. And I'm hoping that women are taking this time right now to position themselves, looking at and I hate to get into the political, as things are emerging, how do you position yourself? Are there new avenues that you need to explore for your business? Or do you really need to double down and think about, where is this money potentially going to come? If it's coming into infrastructure, how are you positioning yourself in infrastructure?
Right.
If it's going to be roads and bridges, is that something I'm currently doing, or can I expand into? If it's in housing, how do I get myself positioned so that I know where this money is going and I can be there when it arrives?
That's right.
So those are some of the things that I'm hoping that more small businesses, minority and women businesses are doing right now. The worst thing is for an opportunity, I always used to tell people, worst thing is for an opportunity to hit the street, and that's when you learn about it.
Oh, yeah, it's too late.
You are too late.
It's too late.
So I need to be sure that you are just tracking those dollars from inception.
Right.
And you're thinking about, how do I position myself? Who in my network can help me advance to that opportunity and close that deal before it hits the street?
Right. Or let them know at least I'm a key player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So networking is so important that
is.
women businesses need to continue to do. It's joining organizations, it's joining chambers of commerce, it's joining women's groups.
Exactly.
It is making sure that you're, when you're going to an event, that you're talking to everyone at the event, not just the people maybe that sponsored the event, because you never know who's in the room, right? Speaking of just your experience, and we talked about this earlier, I have a question. So if you could talk to your earlier self, that person that was about 25. Okay. What were some things that you wish you knew then that you know now?
Well, I would say to my younger self, really build a very broad network of people who buy into you. Because, I started off again in more diversity on the public sector side, and I was focused on knowing who were the experts in the field, reading everything, making sure that I was ready. Because, you go through high school, you go through college, you think about your expertise, you want to hone your skill, and then you come into the work world and you're like, I've got all this information. Right. And I learned later on the importance of building out my colleagues who would understand why I'm passionate about what I do, having more of that broader network.
Yeah.
And I found that the more I did that, the more I spoke to, my colleagues, my executives about why I'm passionate, we found places of commonality. And when you find that commonality, it was no longer me saying, we've got to do this. it was where they would say, how do we do this together?
Right.
And so, I would say, yes, take your time, learn, become the best at what you do.
Right.
But also build out that very wide, broad, diverse network of people who understand why you're passionate about what you're doing and want to sell that to others as well.
Yeah.
Because that's when I think you see that multiplying effect.
The multiplier effect.
Yeah, you really do.
Yeah.
So,
and your name is spoken in rooms that you're not even in.
Exactly.
Because people are carrying your message, they're carrying your brand, they're carrying your value to someone else. And they're saying, hey, Kai?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that women definitely need to hear that. So we have already put up your contact information as you were speaking, so they know how to get in contact with you. We have an overlay. We fancy schmancy around here.
Nice.
We treat you high post here. But also, what are some major projects that you're working on that you may be looking for subcontractors, or how can they get that information?
Definitely. I've recently relocated to the Tampa office, and we're
so
really
glad you're closer.
Yes. In this market, we do a lot of aviation work. We do a lot of hospitality, entertainment work. And so, which is a lot different from what I'm coming from in New York. We were doing all public sector work. And so I'd love anyone to reach out to me, Marion at CSCOS.com, and share with me any of your capability statements. Call, let's have a Zoom coffee. Hopefully soon we can sit down and have lunch or coffee or something in person. But I want to learn more about the businesses that are in this market, and I want to figure out ways that we can work together. I'm the kind of person that believes that every business, I can try to find a way to connect you to someone else.
Somebody or something.
Because that's where, and you never know. It's like, oh, I met that person. Well, I know someone who needs that.
Yeah.
And so, please do reach out to me, especially, of course, architectural engineering firms, our construction companies, mainly in upstate New York, but definitely architectural engineering, planning firms in aviation, in hospitality, who do commercial work and in design as well. Those are firms that we're really looking forward to engaging with even more.
Okay, great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for the invitation. And I have to say, I love what you're doing. And, Kim tells a story about, meeting me, but I remember meeting her. And so that's how impactful that interaction was, because I was like, oh my gosh, look at this woman. She is stunning. She's smart. And I thought the same thing about you. I'm like,
really?
She's commanding the room. So it's always great that we can share that.
Yeah, that's good. And you never know what happens later on down the road. But I'm really excited. Like I said, that I am one of the people that anybody knows me know I'm real. So I don't have a lot of fluff going on. No fluff really. It's just good or bad. You take me how I am. But God knows my heart. But there are certain people that come into your life for a reason, and you have to one, let them know how impactful they are, and then two, you have to support them and promote them. It is mandatory.
It is.
And so there are women that I've done that, and they have done that for me. And so I'm thankful of that. We now have questions for you. So let's hear from our audience. What gets you excited about the work that you do? Oh, good question.
Yes, that is a great question. Because I think I see the work that I do as community development work. I realize the impact that small minority women-owned businesses have in the communities that they serve. I understand that they are more apt to hire from their local communities. They're more apt to support the small local businesses. I come from a family of small business owners, so I understand how important these businesses are in being able to help communities and families thrive. So that's what gets me excited, getting to, see how firms can grow, become larger firms, and then connecting them with opportunities wherein they're able to grow their businesses. That gets me excited.
Yeah. And she's really, when she says that she's dedicated, she really is. We've talked several times. And in every exchange of conversation, she was like, "Oh, I know this person. Oh, I know this person. Let me have you meet with this person. You need to talk to this person at my company." And then, okay, this other person. I'm like, okay, wait, let me try and write all these people down. Let me try and follow with all these people, because you are always trying to connect the dots. Always. So if you're a small and diverse business and woman-owned business, and you're looking to get to know other companies and corporations, she is a woman of her word. She will have that conversation with you. And that's the whole point of Women Empowerment Wednesday, is to connect you with people that want to connect to you. So we're going to end this discussion and we're going to go into a commercial break. Thank you so much for being here. We have The Perfect Touch Weddings and Events coming up next. I used to not include the S. And the owner, Donisha Anthony, got on me about respecting the S in her company name. So now that's why I emphasize the S in her name. So it's The Perfect Touch Weddings and Events. They're coming up next. They're our sponsor. So thank you. We'll be right back.
The Perfect Touch Weddings and Events is proud to present the Perfect Pop-Up Wedding Collection. Do you dream about an easygoing, small wedding? A step above a standard elopement or courthouse wedding, pop-up weddings are budget-friendly, generally spontaneous, and less stressful to plan. Our team will organize all things ceremony. Your pop-up wedding will include a licensed officiant to oversee your ceremony, including when to exchange rings and vows. A florist will provide your personal flowers, including your bridal bouquet, and timeless, beautiful decor to define your altar. A saxophonist will entertain your guests upon arrival to get friends and family in a soulful mood. A beautiful serenade while you walk down the aisle and after your sealed kiss. A photographer will capture still images of your most treasured moments, while the videographer will prepare an emotional highlight film that will tell your love story of your wedding day from start to finish. Your pictures and video will be the closest thing you have to reliving your wedding day. You will toast to forever with champagne and have a sweet, sweet ending with a wedding cake. More importantly, you will have a licensed and insured wedding coordinator from The Perfect Touch Weddings and Events to oversee vendor logistics and the entire experience. Do you happen to need a venue? We can assist with that too. Our all-inclusive pop-up wedding collection allows you to float 11 stories above the city streets in downtown at the Balcony, Orlando. This venue offers your guests a view of Lake Eola and surrounding skylines. You simply will be responsible for what you wear and who you want to be there. Contact us today to schedule a consultation and learn more about our pop-up wedding collection.
All right, we are back, Women Empowerment Wednesday, and we have our next guest. Our next guest is Vernice Atkins Bradley. And let me tell you how I met. I got to tell everybody how I met people, right? Because it's funny how I meet people. So this is how I met this amazing woman that I respect so much, and she knows that. Anytime I got a chance to promote anything about her, she knows I do. So I'm at this meeting in Osceola County, and Jocelyn Harrison Henson from Orange County Public Schools has sent me, I got to say it, sent me to go and go to this meeting to just get some information. So I'm sitting in this meeting, and it's I think it was a chamber meeting or something. It was a community meeting. And I remember in that meeting, you were in that meeting. It was a couple of people. It was maybe 15 people in this meeting. Anyway, someone from either the county or some organization started talking about Orange County Public Schools and that they hadn't heard from us, or that we weren't responsive, or whatever it was. And I remember just going, "No, this is not gonna work. No, this is not gonna work." So I remember going like, "Okay, how did you get in contact with us? Did you call? Did you email us?" Okay. And then I remember just going into like just investigative mode. And I remember giving a monologue about our services and how, we strive for being all this. And she's doing the same thing she did there. Right. She was sitting in the meeting going.
She politely spanked
that person.
What you're not going to do is come for my people.
That's
I'm very
right.
loyal. I ride for my people. Whoever I'm with, I am very loyal until you give me a reason not to be. Then I just walk away. But I'm very loyal. So in that moment, that's how we met. So afterwards,
That's
she was like, "Ooh." So
I had to go over and compliment her on how politely she spanked that individual. So, and from that point on, I think we have just been amazing, not only friends and colleagues professionally.
Yeah. I absolutely adore her. So, and I knew then that she was going to be a part of my village. So let's get into the questions, right?
Well, before we do that, may I pay you a compliment?
I
want you to know how very proud I am of you and your accomplishments and your continuous support to small businesses. God has done a great work in you, and I'm so proud to know you.
Thank you.
Will support you in every way that I can.
And you have been. So thank you. Thank you. I received that. I know this is a ministry. I know it more than ever because I toyed with doing it. I toyed with keeping it going, and I still struggle, but I received that. So thank you. And I want to tell you personally too, that every time I've called you and invited you to something, you come, or you tell me why you can't. You came to my first Women Empowerment Wednesday. You came to the location. And anytime I've had a client that I wanted to meet you, you met with them like within a week. You made it happen. And that speaks volumes to your commitment to supply diversity. Even when that person might not be someone that you can do business with, you took the time to respect the fact that they needed to be poured into. And so that's something that Votum and you stand for continuously. It was never about Turner Construction. It was about who you were and who you are as a person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I just truly, and not only that, you're just highly intelligent. So I'm always trying to connect people with her because I'm like, she got it. It's in there. She's highly intelligent.
Thank you.
So let's talk about you. Tell us about, how did you get here? How did this girl from Pensacola, Florida, become one of the most powerful and respected women, not only in supply diversity, but in construction, a male-dominated role? So how did we get here?
Wow. First of all, what nice accolades.
Oh, I got more. We're going to talk about all that, like executive of the year, all those coming down.
And I am humbled by that. But my journey started over 40 years ago, coming to Orlando. I was a young married woman, and my former husband at that time had relocated here with his job. And of course, we followed. And my journey since being here started out working as a paralegal for legal services. And then I got a job with the city of Orlando, and that's how I got reintroduced to construction. And once I got reintroduced to construction in a different way from what I had experienced growing up with my father, I became very, very interested in the field and realized that it was a great opportunity for me, and have since stayed in it.
Yeah, you have. Now, you've had multiple businesses before, right? Before Votum.
Oh, yes.
Well, let's talk about that, because you will go through trials and tribulations and tests before you get it right to what's a good fit for you. So talk about that, and how did you make the decision to start those businesses, and why did you stop those?
Well, I had 3 businesses prior to starting the construction company, Votum Construction. My first business was a fencing company. Mm-hmm. I was working for the city of Orlando, and each time that I started these previous businesses, it was while I was still working and trying to set up a business to hire myself away from the job. Right. Of course, that didn't turn out too well in those other incidents. So I had a fencing company, I had an import-export company, and then I had a trucking company. And the trucking company was the company that I lost the most in. The fencing company, I got out of it before I lost anything. The import-export company, I lost a small amount of money and then realized that I didn't have the tools I needed to make that business work. And then also with the trucking company, and in each of those cases, with those three companies, I did have partners, and that's the first thing I learned: the right partnership.
Having the right. Oh, there's a moment. There's a moment. There's a moment. Choosing the right partner.
Choose the right partner,
Yeah.
because I do have a partner in Vodum Construction as well. And this time that I started the company, I made sure that I got with the right person, and we connected in the same way in many aspects. What our vision was for the company, what our faith is as people, and also how we would structure the operation of the company, and so that we would not step on each other's toes. And it has worked out for us for 11 years.
Well, and it's been 11 years.
It's been 11 years.
Wow.
Yes. This month is the 11th year of being in business.
So you were a executive for Turner Construction, and you were killing the game. You were well known. You had several states. You made sure that Turner not only met their supply diversity goals, but exceeded them. You implemented programs. You were very committed to policies and procedures here in Central Florida and the state. There's not one person. I was on a conference call yesterday with Marie Gill down in Miami, and I mentioned your name as my speaker this time. She says, I know her. She's with Turner. Yeah, before Rhonda. Yeah, like you don't understand the magnitude of how many people in the state and other states still know your legacy that you left at Turner Construction, right? To a point that when you were there, you were named the first business executive of the year by the OBJ, by the Orlando Business Journal. You were the first. Okay, let's pause for the cause. Okay, of all the executives in Orlando, we have Disney, we have Universal Studios, we have Orlando Magic, we have some Wyndham, all these different corporations, Tupperware that are based here in Orlando, and they selected you as their first ever time having that award, and they selected you. How did you feel? And the question that I have, because I think that people don't understand, if you just do the work and you do your best, the accolades will come, but it's based on the work that you've done, right? So, like, how did you get there? How did you get that honor?
Well, you just mentioned the work you've done. So, in our churches, we always say, may the work I done speak for me.
Yes.
So I think because my whole attitude about life, and I was raised by my parents to be like that, is servant. How do I serve my fellow person? And so I think the fact that I approach life with that mentality is why sometimes I end up getting such accolade or getting such an award. With Orlando Business Journal, I was, in fact, the first one to receive that award. In fact, that award was created from what they told me, because I had been nominated every year for probably like 3 or 4 years to be the woman business owner of the year. And at that time, the woman business of the year. And at that time, it only went to business owner, and I wasn't a business owner. I was
like,
working
we gotta get it for it. We gotta get it.
Right. And so they decided to create an executive award for a woman who was doing things on the executive side. And I became the first one selected for that award.
Can I just, every now and then I love to pause, because there are moments that we have to simmer, right? And that moment where it says you were doing the work, there was an award that you didn't quite fit for, but people saw your value and said, we're going to create something else for you. If you're doing what you're supposed to do and you're serving God the way you're supposed to serve God, things will be created for you. It's already got your name on it.
You're absolutely right.
It already had your name on it. They just had to figure out how to give it to you.
I'm so honored that I received that award. It was quite an honor, and to this day, it's quite an honor.
It is. That I saw it. We always ask for our speakers' resumes and bios so that I understand truly who that person is. I can know you, but I didn't know that about you. And so it's those things that I love to pull out and share with everyone as I'm propelling you and highlighting your accomplishments. I want to know all those things. So can you give the ladies that are watching 3 tools as entrepreneurs that they need to be successful?
Well, based on my experiences and what I have learned in life, I would say the first one is to really plan out your business. Second, I would say to be very adaptable because we're experiencing
Only thing constant is
something in
change.
life now that no business was prepared to do, but you had to adapt.
Yeah.
And I would say be focused.
Yeah.
If you're focused on what you want to accomplish, you will get there.
Yeah. And and adapting is a good model, and one of the most important ones that you spoke on is because you have to look at multiple streams of income. You had to look at multiple ways that you can do your business and provide services. And I think that this COVID-19 has taught us that.
Well, that's a good point in terms of defining yourself. Defining your services that you want to be really good at or become really good at. When in the construction business, it's pretty vast. You can go in many different directions. You can be a trade contractor, or you can be a GC that's manage a bunch of trade contractor. You can be a construction manager. It's a couple of different ways that you can structure the services that you provide. And so what we had to do is, in this big world of construction, is define ourselves and what we were really good at.
Yeah.
So that is really important in terms of how you grow your business.
Yeah.
What are you really good at?
And when you mentioned a thing is having a plan, even in planning, like you said, in branding and standing and establishing who you are and what you stand for. When they hear Votum, what do they come across? What are they thinking about? What is it? What it was carried into a room when someone carries the name Votum into a room? And you've done a great job of saying that Votum, for me, from what I know, Votum is a company of excellence who's really concerned about the community, concerned about reaching back and developing smaller and diverse businesses to come along with you.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that we are living up to that image, because that's a culture that I wanted to build when I started the company.
Yeah, you've done a lot of outreach, and I've been to some of the events that you've hosted. I remember once was at the stadium. You had hosted an event to learn about a project. You didn't have to do it, and that's one thing about your company I love. There are some outreach initiatives that construction companies do to check boxes, and then there are other outreach activities because they care and because they really want to bring people together so they can meet the players and know about the project.
Well, I really do care, Kimberly. I know that a lot of people out there that start their business didn't have the necessary support that they needed, especially diverse businesses. And because have experienced it myself and lived through it, I understand those challenges, and there's no reason why we as more successful businesses, or even those who have a level of influence, cannot give back by supporting those businesses, because at the end of the day, we all need each other.
We do.
So I believe in that, and I live by that.
You do. So speaking of needing each other and being involved and caring, you are everywhere and involved in a lot of things. You are. You are. You know, and your legacy is very strong. But how do you do it all? So there's a woman right now that has a business, and she wants to have a business that has the respect your business has, or have the contracts that we're going to talk about her contract later, and opportunities to connect with her. But so how do you do it all? Like, what's the key? Not only this, okay, we don't run into each other at basketball games because her friend,
That's
cousin,
right.
niece played for Highland
That's
Prep,
right.
and she was at every game rooting. She coming in there suited down, like game just started. I'm here. Okay, we're gonna watch this baby play this game. You know, like you.
Well, I do adopt a lot of children because I do love children, and if my friends have children that are doing things, I certainly
I got 3
to support
let,
them.
let me make a note that she loves children. So-
Right, and I will come out and support
Okay,
them.
all right.
so.
I'll make sure you know about all 3 and how you can support them physically and
Absolutely.
financially. Okay.
Okay.
Adopt Kim's kids. Okay, all right.
So when you ask the question about the things that I do, I just do it. I don't really think about it. If it's something that I believe I can bring value to whatever, then I just do it. And I've been blessed to be able to do multiple things. I'm a multitasker.
You are.
A lot of time it's also being able to help others to reach their maximum potential. And I guess that's was something I was gifted with, being the oldest of 7 children. I guess that was training ground for learning
you were
how
trained.
to
You learned. You learned.
to manage multiple personalities and
And
drive
accountability
them,
to
right,
others.
and help them to reach their full potential. And so being able to be involved in lots of things and rising to the level, oftentimes to a leadership role, is because I can manage multiple personalities and encourage people to accomplish certain things, and that's why I can get so much done.
Yeah,
I-
because
I think.
it's innate in you to be. Now, do you use tools? But as far as business, do you use like do you live by your calendar? Do you have an assistant? Like, how do you get all of these things done with you?
Well, starting your own business, you kind of have to do everything yourself. I recently brought on an intern that is assisting me. So I do have an assistant now. But for the last 10 years, I would say I pretty much have managed myself. And it was with my phone and my iPad, my calendar. I kept, I make sure I look at it before I go to bed at night, and I look at it first thing in the morning. And there's only been a couple of times that I actually missed something that was on there that I actually forgot. And thank God it wasn't something so important that I couldn't have missed it.
Right.
So, but no, I do use those tools, and I guess learning how to manage with nothing. At first, you learn how to manage well.
Yeah,
So,
when you don't have the resources.
That's
There are a
right.
lot of women entrepreneurs that don't have the resources. And one of the things you mentioned is an intern. Interns are a really good resource if you're a business owner and you need to bring in additional resources. And you can actually have those if you call CareerSource. They have programs, a lot of different programs that can actually offset the cost of an intern or an administrative. You just have to catch whatever program it is, especially in the summer, definitely in the summers. But there are resources out there. And then there's also just interns through the colleges and universities that you can pull. So make sure you're looking at those resources.
Actually, my intern came through Embry-Riddle. She was a mechanical engineer that was working on her MBA, but she wanted to learn the business side. And so we first had brought her sister on from Valencia.
Okay.
And she went and told her other sister about it. So
it's a family affair.
We ended up hiring 3 sisters.
Wow.
Really. Well, one is now back. They were from Ecuador. One is now back in Ecuador. And 2 are still with us. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Look at there. Well, you have the family, thing in you anyway from being the oldest of 7 kids. So you understand the importance. So let's talk about Votum. Let's talk about your company. Tell us about Votum and tell us about some of the projects you're working on. Votum, projects you're working on, and then how are you looking for subcontractors? Are you looking for a janitorial company? Are you looking for a promotional company? Are you looking for someone to join in on some of these projects? So tell us about Votum, and then what are some projects you have that you're working on?
Thank you. Votum is a full service construction management, general contractor, design build, owner's rep company. We have been blessed to work on some of the major buildings that have been built here in this community, starting with Camping World. We were a partner on that project, was partner on the MLS stadium. We are currently at the airport building the South Terminal. We are building schools for Orange County Public Schools.
Yes.
We're building a high school right now. We are also doing some smaller work ourselves. We were selected to be a continuing service contractor for Orange County Public School. We have in the past been a continuing service contractor for Valencia College, as well as the University of Central Florida, and also Florida A&M University. So the things that we are looking for in terms of subcontractor, we look for all types because we are involved with all type of building types. So any subcontractor, whether it's a cleaning company to one that do major mechanical work, we always looking for subcontractors.
And we've already, as you've seen, we put the overlay over of your contact information. Which do you prefer they send you their capability statement? Email you their capability statement, or?
Yes, they can email it to info@votumllc.com. Also, we are working on updating our website, so we'll be able to, once that's completed, be able to send in their information through the website.
Okay, great. So you have some contracts now. And so if you're a small and diverse business, woman-owned business, and you do any services that could support a construction project, and you may be thinking, well, I don't do construction. Construction encompasses everything from construction cleanup. If you're a janitorial company, you become construction cleanup. Okay.
Right. That's right.
If you make marketing materials, they may need shirts for their crew. If you do printing, they may need some things printed. It could be plumbing or electrical or any of those things, but just be thinking more than just, construction. When you think of it, think of what it takes to support a construction project and a team, and they can roll that into their numbers for supply diverse businesses.
And even if it's not something that my company can use itself, I will always make referrals to others that are in need of those particular types of services.
Okay. Yeah, because you sit on the board of the National Association of Minority Contractors, which is a board and an organization that supports minority contractors. And so it may be an opportunity, maybe not for you, but someone else that's a part of that organization.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, great. So you're a woman of faith.
Absolutely.
And I'm a woman of faith. What are some things that you carry with you every day that just keep you going?
Well, first I carry that I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me.
Yes.
That's the first thing. And then I realized that being a servant in this world is the best thing to do, because when you do that, you're not only pleasing to God, but you are getting something out of it yourself. It's adding value to life. I also believe that we have expectations in life, and the greatest expectation to meet is God's expectation. And if we learn how to be tolerant of each other's expectation and not to judge people in a way that you see them unlike yourself, that you think you set the gold standards. I think that if we allow God to standards to be what we follow, we will find ourselves easy to live in this world and, just have a great life at the end.
Something powerful what you said is that not judging people by our own standards, but judging them by what God would have for us. That will take you far, because sometimes we get full of ourselves and we're thinking the way we run our business or our products or our services are the best. And this person is whatever, they're raggedy or this or that. But if you look at that person, the way God sees that person, they have a value too. So maybe it means that you might need to mentor that person because you just said they was raggedy. So why don't you mentor them?
That's exactly what I tell my staff all the time. I say to them that if you meet someone when we're working on projects and they're not living up to your expectation, go and offer support.
Mhm.
You know, if we do that, if we think about life the way God really intended for us to
Yeah.
really complement each other,
Yeah.
serve one another,
Yeah.
life would be so much more
Oh,
better.
it would be. It would be. We're ever striving. We're ever striving. So speaking of just being in the industry and seeing what's going on in the industry and watching people do different things in the industry, what are some trends in your industry right now that you're watching and that you've had, or things that you've had to change because of COVID-19?
Well, definitely COVID-19 has made a major change in our industry. You know, in the construction industry, people work in close proximity with each other.
Mhm.
And with this social distancing, we have to figure out ways how to get the job done
Mhm.
and keep people safe.
Mhm.
So there are, you know, things that we can do from a planning standpoint to be able to keep people in close proximity, but keep them safe.
Mhm.
Of course, putting things in place so that they can wash their hands more frequently, making sure they wear
Oh
masks
yeah.
and all of that stuff. But to plan the project out better where we'll be able to shift from one group of people, a sub that's doing this particular type of work, to one that's doing the next type of work, but having to do it differently now, because previously we could probably pile them all in there
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
but we can't do that anymore. Using technology more as construction grow in time, we're finding better technology for the industry. I
Mhm.
think that's due in part to a lot of younger people
Yeah.
coming in.
These
And
millennials.
they're coming up with ways of how to do things, you know, even better. So those are immediately some of the trends that we're keeping up with and following,
Mhm.
staying on top of our technology, as well as dealing with the COVID
Yeah.
situation now.
It's crazy because I know that, you know, with some of the projects you had already allocated a budget, and then COVID came, and now you got to implement things like mask and water stations and testing, and what happens if an employee does contract COVID-19, and then you have to do contract tracing, and then you have to
Right.
shut down the project.
We may have to shut down the project.
You know, right?
That's right.
And so these are things that, you know, I'm sure you are like keeping you up at night, but at the same time, you're having to say, okay, no, I got to stay on top of it. I got to plan, like you said, I got to plan for what could happen, the risk.
Right.
But then I also have to keep moving forward and looking for additional projects. But now moving forward, the next project, you're going to have masks included in your budget.
Well, and that's so true. All the things that you itemized, those are the things that we have to be
Mhm.
concerned about. Some of it we have been able to manage well because people are not present. Because that's the other part of it, is when you're working on an occupied space where
Yeah.
the people that you're constructing around are
Yeah, like a
actually
live
working.
campus. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So now those people are most time our way. So
Okay.
that at least is a benefit in that sense. But the other things are definitely impacting, you know, cost and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So you now have to sit back down with your client and you have to come up with, how do we deal with that? We may have to put some things on hold right now. We may have to stop that particular part of the project. We may have to cancel the project altogether.
Yeah.
So we've had that to happen as well.
Oof. And
I
then-
know.
So to have a project, you're doing your part, and you are, you know, your work, your team, your company is doing their job, and then COVID comes, and then now you have to go back to the owner, OCPS or another company, and say, hey, these have changed, and these companies are saying, okay, we're gonna have to close this project. How does that impact you, and what do you, like, realistically, how you wrap your mind around the fact that you had this contract, say it was for $1 million, and you had team that you had hired and you brought on, and now the project's going to change, and where you had allocated the money coming in, or you anticipated that profit coming
Mhm.
in, you know, or covering it, just not even profit. Let's just talk about covering the expenses that you incurred because you went and got a truck or insurance or people or whatever it may be.
All those things are very real. And yes, we had to deal with. We did lose a couple of big projects that we had on the books.
Mhm.
In fact, we were starting the Hyatt Hotel project that we were part of. It got postponed, canceled. We don't know if it's coming back or not. Another project you talked about $1 million. It was $1 million project we had directly ourselves, and we actually will not ever have that project because it totally just went away.
Yeah.
And so, yes, those are things that you have to deal with. Sometimes it causes you to have to, lay off people. We've been blessed in this environment. Thank God that we had a client. OCPS has been the client that we were able to do some continuing service work with. So while we lost some other things, we picked up some smaller things. Yeah. So God has really blessed us in that sense. And so I haven't had to lay off anyone.
Oh, good.
Yes, thank God I haven't had to lay off anyone.
Yeah.
So because that would be even problematic to think about people and their families at this time, and you're not successful, right. So or you're failing at something, if for lack of better word, and then that's causing you to have to take away from someone else. Supporting their family. And I just didn't want to have to do that. And thank you, Lord, that I haven't had to do that so far.
Yeah. People see people who own businesses like yourself and multi-million-dollar contracts, and they think, man, I want that. I want her job. I want her company. I want to walk in her shoes. But walking in your shoes also mean that you're now responsible for the livelihood of families, the people that work for you, and that income that's coming in to support that family.
That's right.
And so, for the entrepreneur woman that wants to grow a business, the great side of business is to get the contracts, your business grows. The downside is when things just happen, life just happens, pandemics just happen,
right.
And you have to be responsible for somebody else's livelihood. And that's a lot of pressure to carry. It is a lot of pressure to carry.
It is. And the other side of that is not only when you're making decisions that can impact their life, but when things happen in their own lives, like a family member become positive tested and they have to be quarantined, and you like,
I need you these 14 days. We got a project.
That's
what you mean you got COVID? This is not on the schedule for you to have COVID.
And they are a major player in.
You are the superintendent of this project. You are managing all these people. I do not have 14 days for you to have COVID to test everybody on this team.
Well, and it could be that you have to shut the entire project down because of that.
Yeah, because contact tracing.
Someone else family is now affected, and they had nothing to do with that. So it's tough. But you work through it all, and there again is that faith walk. Because I know God is in control.
You getting out of the boat like this. You just taking steps, like your eyes are closed.
Because construction is a difficult business.
It is, and it's it's still a male-dominated industry. And so for you to be a woman-owned, construction-owned business, and to be well respected, to have the accolades that you have, that's nothing but God. And I know you know that. But it's also it's God, but it's also the heart that you carry, and people seeing that, and people saying that they want to support you, and they want to continue to pour into you because you pour into so many people. So I have one more question.
Oh, wow.
And your last question is, if you could talk to your 30-year-old self, and I know you like 35s, but if you could talk to your 30-year-old self, go back 5 years. I know.
Oh, right.
Go back 5 years. Okay, if you could talk to your 30-year-old self.
No, I would have to go back 30 years.
Listen, it don't crack. All I was going to say is it don't crack. If you can go back 30 years and talk to, Vernice, and as far as making business decisions and family decisions, what would you say to her?
Well, again, some of the things that I said earlier about, planning, make sure you plan out what you want to accomplish in life, being adaptable, and also staying focused. But talking to myself 30 years,
knowing what you know now,
knowing what I know now, I would say that really understanding a relationship with God earlier on how much more I could have accomplished. I think when you first get to understand God and the purpose that He has for your life, you are sometimes much older because you
Yes.
become more wiser. then.
Right.
So if I had the opportunity to really be where I am in my faith walk now, I think 30 years ago, I would be at a different place
Yeah.
than I am now. So
I think a lot of us are that way, though. Yeah. I think that when you're in your 20s and your 30s, you're just focused on living your best life, no accountabilities, living your best life on your own terms. And then when you're in your 30s, you're looking at family or, just getting that house and that car and those
Right.
trips and those shoes and that purse. And so when you get 30 and older, you start looking at, wait a minute, God, whoa. When I had the house, had the shoes, had the cars, lived my best life, been on the trips, bought the purses, they in the
That's
closet.
right.
It's like I got the bills.
What is important?
What is important?
Right.
I got the house, but come with a mortgage. Yesterday I had to replace, my house is almost 4 years old. I had to replace the air conditioned panel. It's a panel and that was like $500, right? But I want the house, right? But you got all this other stuff that come with it, right? So, but you get to a point in your life where you're like, okay, got everything, did a lot of stuff. God, what do you want from me?
That's right. That's
what would you have me do?
That's right.
How do you want to use this vessel? And then that's when God speaks to you and you're like, okay, all right, turn left. Okay. But I like right, go left, over, go left. And that's when the blessings come. And I think that, I hope that a woman that's watching today hear you when you say, get back in contact and have those moments where you're sitting down, you're asking God, what do you want of me?
What do you want? What is my real purpose
What's my
you have
purpose?
for me in life? And then, do the things that you need to do to fulfill that purpose.
Do the work.
That's right.
All right. We have questions for you. So, Danisha.
What is the biggest challenge you face in switching from employee to business owner?
Well, being an employee of a company,
the check come every time.
Well, you have departments that have people in those departments that handle certain things. Being a business owner and entrepreneur, you pretty much are all things to your company when you first start out. You don't have an HR department and a business development department and a accounting department. You are all of those people starting your business.
Yeah. I think the other thing too about that is that the having the constant pay.
Right.
When you were a returner, you were a senior executive.
I knew my salary was coming. That's right.
Well, you went to work
that you eat what you kill is some truth. But in addition to having those things already in place, I would say those are the biggest challenges, because as you develop the company, what comes first? What is most important? You got to have employees. So do you really focus on HR? But you also got to have business. So do you really focus on business development? You have to balance it all in order to grow the company to a point where you're bringing people in that can help you with those areas. And then you can continue to build the business and continue to build your staff.
So we talked about what is it like to go from working for a corporation where you were named, top exec by OBJ, to starting your own business. And then there's that scary moment. And what we didn't talk about is that scary moment. We have one more question from our audience, but I want to ask this question of you. What was in your mind thinking that you're going to leave very nice salary? I can only imagine it was a very nice salary to go to start a company where you didn't know what it was going to be. Like how did you get to that point? Did you wake up one morning and say, that's it, I'm stepping out? Or did you go over time, no, I'm getting this feeling? Like, what was it?
Well, it's a real quick story.
Okay.
First of all, what motivated me to start the company was I went to a juvenile justice facility to talk to some young males about getting into construction. I had been invited by a minister to go talk to them, because once they get out of the facility, and go look for a job, they tend not to find work
Mhm.
because they had a path.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to know, why would they repeat these crimes that they had committed and get back in there? And they say, because we can't find a job.
Mm.
And I say, well, in construction, there are opportunities. If you're skilled,
Mhm.
they tend to be more forgiving. That industry tend
Right.
to be more forgiving. And so I drove away from there saying, Lord, what can I do to help? I want to do something. And he said, come out from corporate America.
And you said, no, you're not talking to the right person. This is Vernice.
Well, I had been trying to become a vice president within Turner. For 5 years, I had been recommended to become a vice president, and that had not happened. I had gotten all kind of other opportunities. I was a regional director, but never.
You had hit that ceiling. It
yeah.
seemed like that you couldn't go any higher. Yeah.
And so the Lord spoke and said, I'll make you a president instead of a vice president.
Come on.
and so I
Come on.
and I was talking to this other guy who was working at Turner, Tesca Diller, who is my partner.
Uh-huh.
And we both were thinking about what can we do
Yeah.
that we could impact young men's lives.
Mhm,
And so we started thinking about, let's just do this. And so I was like, man, do I want to leave my job? And so I went and talked to my parents, because I was like, I know they're going to talk to me. And my dad was a pastor
Yeah.
at the time. And I said, they will definitely tell me this is crazy.
Yeah.
You
Don't
gotta-"
leave this secure income.
And
Yeah.
to my surprise and my amazement, my mother said to me, we were hoping one of our kids would start their own business. And they assured me if I stepped out on faith and that I needed their support, they would be there for me. And I stepped out on faith. And here I am today, 11 years later.
11 years president.
And,
You were advocating and working hard and doing all you could to be maybe vice president. And now you're president.
right.
Competing against Turner on some of these projects.
Sometimes.
Come on.
You're absolutely right.
And have won
Sometimes.
some. Come on.
With other partners, that's true.
Come
I have
on.
competed with them and have won some.
Look at God.
Yeah,
Won't he do it?
He is awesome.
And that's nothing to slight to Turner at all. It's just that they had to say no.
Well, and I've partnered with them
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So I left
Yeah.
Turner right
Yeah.
so that I could partner.
And that's
with-
important. Yeah. I think that it had to happen. It happened where that you couldn't be vice president, because you would have been the most phenomenal vice president still 11 years later.
Wow. Thank you, Kim.
Yeah, you would have. But that wasn't a path that God wanted for you.
He did not.
He needed Vodum to be here.
And I believe the best is yet to come.
Oh, we know it is. We're going to do some stuff together. Believe that. Okay, we have one last question.
How do you grow and become an influencer in your industry?
Well, again, I go back to just being a servant and being involved and being a part of things that are impactful in my industry. I try to stay involved with organizations that are beneficial in my industry. I try to stay involved with people that are important in the industry. I stay abreast of what's going on. And so just staying involved and being knowledgeable about what's happening and staying on top of the trends and engaging yourself as well as engaging others.
Yeah, you're definitely involved. You can't go too far without saying your name and someone doesn't know the company or you or both in a high regard.
We give that glory.
To God be the glory. All right. So thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me. And it's, again, I am just so proud to see where you've come.
It's
and
nothing but God.
just any way that I can help you.
Absolutely.
Please let me know.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
We'll find out some things that we can do together, because there's some stuff coming down the pipeline for both of us. So we're going to have a lunch and learn and see what we can do.
All right.
All right. So our next break is our sponsor break will be Women Empowerment Wednesday highlight. So we will be right back after this commercial break.
Have you joined the Women Empowerment Wednesday movement yet? What are you waiting for? The program is high energy and sure to keep you engaged from beginning to end.
Every day I think about who sent me.
Mm.
First of all,
Come
God
on.
sent me.
Come on.
And I know
Yeah.
He's not going to send you into something.
Right. And
Not to bring
come
you out
on.
and equip you with what you need.
That's right.
Right? But nevertheless, like I stated earlier, we are still human vessels.
That's right.
And we have our frailties. But what makes me get up is that I know somebody somewhere that's watching me need me to get up.
Mhm. We do.
But,
We do.
because if I get up and they say, if she has gone through in front of her eyes all of that
All of that.
and still get up
And still get up.
to make a difference,
And still fight.
I can do it too.
That's right.
3D Strategic Management is passionate about highlighting issues, concerns, and stimulating the working entrepreneur.
Perception is my biggest obstacle.
Yeah.
And when people come through and they show that we can do a fabulous job at a fabulous price and offer you the service that you want at a competitive price, that's what, really makes my day. It seals the deal,
Yeah.
right? Because then it opens the door for people to be more open-minded the next time.
Congratulations
Thank
really
you.
to this platform. It's
Yeah.
just amazing, and just what you're doing to help promote these resources to women owned businesses and to everyone. So congratulations
No,
to you,
thank
and
you.
thank you.
Mark your calendars now for our final series of the year, December 9th, going live at 9 a.m. 3D Strategic Management owner and CEO Kimberly Rogier Jean-Louis gracefully moderates a panel of top industry speakers from Fortune 1000 companies, large government agencies, and local resource partners on powerful topics addressing the whole woman.
You want to make sure that your reputation is nice and clean, and you want to make sure your identity is protected, because all of that stuff's going to stress you out and your business can just go under in a few seconds.
Including mind, body, and soul.
And I love the fact that we're able to empower women and also be able to be here for Women Empowerment Wednesday.
I'm so excited to be here with Kimberly and her team with Women Empowerment Wednesdays to learn about women and their businesses and how the county can help and support them.
Hey, welcome to Women Empowerment Wednesday. I'm Jocelyn Henson from Orange County Public Schools, and I can't wait to share with you this morning. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Hi, this is City Commissioner Regina I. Hill of the beautiful District 5, and welcome to Women Empowerment Wednesdays. You all are in for a treat. Stay tuned.
I'm so excited. You guys know this is my passion. This is my purpose, to bring powerful women together to empower you. This month is exciting.
Save your virtual seat by visiting www.3dstrategicmanagement.com.
All right, welcome back to Women Empowerment Wednesday. We have our third and final guest. I'm excited to be here. We connected 2 years ago when she took on as the president and doing a phenomenal job of the African American Chamber of Central Florida. We have Tanisha here, who hails from Blackshear, Georgia.
Yes.
It's a big metropolitan town.
Oh, huge.
From what I hear. But we want to talk about, tell us about, how did you get from Blackshear to here? And what is your journey?
Oh, yes. So first of all, let me just say, Kimberly, I'm so happy to be here. You are correct. It was probably about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You and I met over coffee
Yeah.
when I was fresh and new to this role.
Yeah.
And you've been such a supporter since
Oh,
then.
my
So
pleasure. My
I just
pleasure.
love you. And you're a member of our chamber.
Yes, I am a member.
You are a member.
Yes.
So, definitely support Kimberly. She has amazing services. But
Thank you.
yes, so born and raised in Blackshear, Georgia. It is a very, very small town in South Georgia, about 45 minutes from the Florida-Georgia line.
Okay.
And a lot of my family is still there. So after I graduated from high school, I moved to Atlanta and I attended an HBCU, Spelman College in Atlanta.
Yes, HBCUs.
Yes, we love our HBCUs. And after I graduated from Spelman, I went to law school in Connecticut. And there's a little story there. because I think it's important to really share our stories and to be open and honest. Sometimes people see where we are and they think it's been a smooth road, but there are always bumps, right? So let me tell you about a little bump.
Potholes.
So I'm at Spelman and I'm in my senior year and I take the LSAT, which is the entrance exam for law school, and I did not do well. So I had a really good GPA, some good references, but I was waitlisted for all of the law schools that I applied to. Meanwhile, all of my friends are going to medical school and law school and MBA, and I'm like, what am I going to do? So I am at a kind of like a meet and greet for CLEO, which stands for the Council on Legal Education Opportunity out of Washington, D.C., and they help minority students get into law school. So I speak to the young lady and she says, well, since you live in the southern part of the United States, you've missed the deadline to go to a CLEO program in Virginia. And I said, okay, are there other programs? And she said, there's one in Pennsylvania, Dickinson College School of Law, but you can't apply because you don't live in the Northeast. And I was like, I'm going to apply anyway. So, so she's like, you can't. So she goes back to DC and I blew their phone up.
Wow.
Calling CLEO in DC, what's the application? Because this was back before we would do things online. Mail it to me. So I applied and I continued to call them and I wore them down. So finally they said, you have to be in Pennsylvania in like 3 days. Took the Greyhound bus, rolled all night, showed up, did the program, got back to Atlanta, and this was the summer of 1996, so it was the Olympics, and got back to Atlanta, and it was a Wednesday. I'm packing up my apartment, don't know what I'm going to do, and Quinnipiac University School of Law calls me in Connecticut and says, we interviewed you when you were at the CLEO summer program, and we'd like to offer you a position at our law school. You have to be in Connecticut by Sunday.
I'm packing up now.
Okay, so I was packing my apartment anyway, so I called my dad, and we leave Atlanta on Saturday in my little green Honda Civic, and we drove all night to Connecticut. God is good. One of my best friends at Spelman, Evelyn, who's still my dear sister today, her parents lived in Connecticut. She's from Connecticut. So I moved in with them.
Look at her.
They had dinner waiting for my dad and I when we arrived in Connecticut.
Come on.
We went to orientation Sunday. I got my books and I started law school on Monday. And so I knocked every door down and I was like, I am going to be in law school in the
hell or high water. I'm going to somebody law school.
Somebody's going to take me in August. And so, yes, and I had family there. They embraced me. They're still like my family. And that was kind of the journey. Then after law school, I ended up in Florida.
Wow.
So
what I love about that moment, and I love to stop for pause for the cause, right?
Yes.
Was that you didn't take no for an answer.
Absolutely.
And the only way you can succeed and be successful in life is you don't take no for an answer.
I agree.
And that you also got to just keep going, but ask God, okay, God, what you want me to do? Because at one moment you were in that apartment going, okay, Lord.
Right. Oh, yes.
I got all this stuff. Had you pledged yet?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so she AKA, so I'm sure
I told you I went in my green Honda Civic.
Right. She is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
But look what I'm wearing today.
Because she love. It's all love.
This is all for Kimberly.
It's all love, right? She can rock any color.
Yes.
But you had to be sitting in that apartment. It's beautiful. It's got all the color and it's all the flavor. You're going, Lord Jesus.
Right.
I have been a faithful servant. I've gone to this school.
Yes.
I got into Spelman. A lot of people want to get into Spelman.
Yes.
I have done all these things. And now I just want to go to law school.
Right.
Like make it happen.
Right.
Like just make it happen.
Absolutely.
And then you kept going.
Absolutely. And it wasn't the school of my choice.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we don't get what we want.
No, we don't.
But that is where God wanted me to be. Absolutely.
And so you go there and you kill it.
I go there and I kill it. I go there and I kill it. Yes.
So you graduate,
Yes.
and then you go and you start a career, and you start a career in law.
I did, yes. So I ended up in Florida on the Treasure Coast and Stewart, worked for probably, in my opinion, the best personal injury wrongful death attorney in the U.S., Willie Gary. So I was trained with him, and definitely he does not take no for an answer. So we were a good fit. And so worked there for 18 years.
Wow.
And then I left there and kind of wanted to spread my wings and work for myself for a few years.
Yeah. So there's a story in there because you left one of the probably the most well-known
law firms. Let's even take out ethnicity. One of the most well-known and respected law firms in the United States. And you decided, okay, I want to start my own business, or I want to start my own practice. How did you get there? What made you decide that? Because were you married at that time?
No, at that time I was divorced. So that's a story too. So
Okay.
I ended up at that firm because my former husband, I don't like to say ex, it
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
so,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
not even like that.
Yeah,
so
right.
it's all love
Yeah.
because I continued to work there after the divorce for many, many years.
Yeah.
So that's his father's firm. We met in law school. And, you know, we're two.
And he was in Connecticut.
He was in Connecticut, and two Southerners. He didn't want to
Come
be there either.
on.
So let me just back up. Let me just back
I didn't
up.
know that.
Yeah, let me just back up. There's a story there. So my first year of law school, Professor Ford, who was a Black professor at the law school, we really bonded. She had Willie Gary come speak for the Black law students. And he fell in love with the school. So he comes back to Florida and tells his son, you're going to law school in Connecticut because there's too many distractions for you here in Florida. And he was like,
Connecticut.
I'm living down in Miami.
I'm living my best
He's like,
life.
no, you're going to Connecticut. So my second year was his first year. He transferred, we met. And so that is how I ended up in Florida because
Wow.
I was moving to New York.
Yes, high
And
power
he-
attorney in New York.
That was the plan.
Uh-huh.
And
That was your plan.
That was my plan.
Okay.
Ended up coming to Florida. So yeah, so I had worked for Willie for many, many years. And you know, when you've been somewhere a long time, and I just knew I had reached the top of where I was going to go.
Yes.
So I had a decision. I could just kind of stay here, or I can say, let me see what else I can do.
Mhm.
And so I said, you know what? Let's see what else you can do.
And you
that's what
did
I
it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a moment in there too, because sometimes we work for other organizations, whether we love it or we don't love it, but you get to a place where you get this feeling that just you can't shake.
Right.
You
right.
can't shake it or you start hearing people say, you know, you should have your own practice. And you go, huh.
Yeah.
But you can't shake this
Right.
feeling that you should
Right.
just do it on your own.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times until you do it, until you leave, that feeling, those comments, that affirmation,
Sure.
it gets more intense.
Absolutely.
So for me, the same thing. I was working for a company and it became more intense.
Yes.
You got to leave, Kim. You got to leave.
Absolutely.
You got to leave. And where I was, it was a phenomenal place, but I knew I had to leave.
Absolutely. And wanting more control of your destiny.
Yes.
And wanting more control of your time. When you work for someone else, there are certain expectations. And although it was a family law firm, there were still certain expectations. And I thought, you know, let me see what I can do so I can kind of control where I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go back into the question. So, you know, you own the business.
Yes.
And how are you now integrating your role as president and that experience you had when you ran your business and working for another company? How are you implementing that now in your current role?
Yeah. So, you know, having both, being in a company where you've had a lot of support,
Mhm.
you know, I had the paralegals, I had the legal assistants, I had other attorneys. If I can't cover something, you can do it. Then coming to work for yourself,
Yes.
where you're answering the phones, you're the receptionist.
You're
You're the
everything.
scheduler, you're calling the clerk's office, you're holding dates, you're prepping for depositions, you're prepping for trial, you're trying to get new business, you're wearing all the hats.
All the hats.
And then at some point, when God blesses you, you can bring in some folks to help. But nevertheless, when you're starting fresh and you have a small business and you're trying to grow it, everybody does everything.
Yes.
There's no such thing as I only do this, you only do
Right.
that. You have to wear a lot of hats. You
You
have
do.
to roll up your sleeves and be willing to do whatever it takes
You
to
do.
get the job done.
Mhm.
I bring all of that to the chamber.
You do.
And, you know, and I tell my team, we were talking yesterday and I said, you know what we do, whatever we have to do to get it done. If you need me to type up that, let me know. And that's the environment that we operate in. And so, you know, that along with advocacy, practicing law, I was an advocate for my clients.
Yes.
Medical malpractice, personal injury, wrongful death cases, all for plaintiffs. I advocated for those families and those that were injured. And so now I just take that to advocate for my chamber
Yeah.
members. How do you get contracts? How do you get access to capital? Making introductions, helping them build relationships. So it's been a natural fit and a good flow for me to go from
Yeah.
practicing law to this.
Look at God.
And then, you know, my chamber members always want to get a little legal advice. Can you look at this
Can you look at this contract
I
from
know.
and
Oh,
see
yeah.
if
So,
you see
so
anything
that's a
with.
little something I can give them on the side as well.
Well, that was my next question: is how does the professional legal experience add it to you being the president? Just on the legal aspect. So people are asking you to review contracts.
Oh, yes. I read everything. As I have that red pen, MOUs, memorandums of understanding.
Yeah.
Anything we enter into, I am going to read it and, make sure that there's nothing left that could expose us. But there are so many ways where I bring in my legal training, because that's law school is so many different things you can do, just like with a lot of professions. You don't have to be pigeonholed.
Yeah.
And so I just take all of that analytical thinking. I try to think of ways that we can be strategic in what we offer for the chamber. So it's been good to kind of merge the two.
Good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the chamber. Let's talk about the services that you provide and the programs that you provide. So let's talk about the African American Chamber of Commerce of Central Florida.
Okay, I'm going to really get excited.
Okay, come on, bring it. I'm ready.
Yes, love the chamber. So as you said, I've been here for 2 years, and we just heard from Vernice.
Yes.
And Vernice, is amazing. Vernice also, and her construction company is a member of our chamber.
Yes.
But Vernice served, and many may not know this, as the interim president of the chamber, as well as the former chair of the board some years ago.
Yep.
And Vernice, along with many others and my predecessors, really did lay the foundation for the chamber. And I like to say that, I came in with a vision of how to just take it and move it to the next level. So
and you've done that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I've
you.
been around a long time. I've been around since Spooney days, Pastor Spooney, Reverend Spooney, and his assistant Pamela. And I've seen the difference because of the additional resources, because of the intellectual property that you bring, because of your advocacy and your desire, because of your resources. The chamber, and that's supposed to happen, right?
Yes.
Over
growth.
time, things are supposed to grow.
Absolutely.
But the direction that you're taking this growth in, I can tell you, just from someone who's been in supply diversity, who now, this is the first time I've ever even thought about membership, and or even advocating really for me to be a member, is because I trust the direction that you're taking it, because it really is fruitful.
Thank you. For that.
It's a lot more programs. It's a lot more tangible services. It's a lot more that you can see the return on the value for the small business, not necessarily the corporation.
Right.
And so that's what I love about your leadership and the things that your team is doing. And it's evident. So let's talk about the service.
Thank you for that. And,
Sorry.
I don't want to take all the credit, because it is a team effort. You said that, and that is so true. But that you touched on it. That's the mission and vision of the chamber, is to support Black-owned businesses here in Central Florida. So everything that we do and we cultivate, we keep that mission and vision in mind. So this year, 2020, like we all can attest to, has been a year like no other. And we all had great plans for 2020. I was always saying, this was going to be the year of the inaugural events for the chamber.
Yeah.
And I am proud to say, despite everything that's going on, it still happened. So we started out 2020 with the Eagle Awards, as we do every year.
Phenomenal.
Thank you. 650 people there.
The most
ever.
When I tell you, you walk into this convention center, and I felt like I stepped coming to America. The wedding.
Okay. Yes. The wedding. Yes, because we were in Africa.
Yeah, we were in Africa, but it was the whole wedding scene. Like, I felt like I had stepped into Coming to America. I was like, okay, where's Eddie? Where is the woman singing?
Next time we got to have Eddie Murphy come.
No, but it really, like, you transformed the room, and it was Black excellence, and everybody looked good, and we all felt good, and all the who's who. And not only in the Black community, but the who's who just in Orlando were there.
Yes.
And the program was seamless.
Thank you for
seamless. And I've been 3 years ago with empty tables, and it was no empty tables.
Yeah, we don't do empty tables. We resell those seats. We resell. You're not bringing anybody. Okay, I will resell your table. We don't do empty tables.
But there was no empty tables this year.
Yes.
So it was great.
Thank you. We started the year off with a bang, and then in February was our first inaugural event, Black Professionals Night Out, at the Mercedes dealership.
Oh, it was nice.
Thank you. We had over 600 people there. We partnered with the Black MBA chapter here,
Mhm.
and we put it on together. But we brought in all the Black professionals, the Black realtors, the doctors, the dentists. We had 13 organizations
Mm.
to bring all of us together to see how can we support each
Yeah.
other. There's so many of us. And thank you to Dorian over at Mercedes,
Mhm.
Black-owned
Yes,
dealership
yes.
over in the Millennium
All
Mall.
several.
Yes, he sponsored all of that for us, and also a member of the chamber.
Yes.
And so, so we had that, and then in March, look what happens.
Mm.
We have the shutdown.
Yep.
Quickly, we had to pivot because now more than ever, our businesses need us.
Mhm.
And so, you know, we went into the webinars and all of that. We were supposed to have our golf outing
Mhm.
and player development clinic because a lot of deals are made on the golf course.
They
That
still
is
are.
not just something we say. We saw it happen in October.
Yeah, it
So
still happens.
November 5th, 2021, mark your calendars.
Okay.
That's our second golf outing. But we weren't able to have it in May. We had it in October, but we went ahead and pulled off that
Mhm.
inaugural event.
Mhm.
But what I'm most proud of, and you helped with this,
Oh.
let me talk about this.
Okay.
So when I was interviewing for this position, I went to the Empowerment Luncheon, which was an annual luncheon that the chamber has, and it's phenomenal. We always have wonderful
Mhm.
speakers that look like us that can talk about, you know, how they were able to grow their
Right.
business and different things. So I went to my first one then, and then when I was offered this position, I said, we can make this even bigger. And we moved it to iDrive, which my board was like, nobody's gonna want to go to iDrive, and you're upping the price of tickets and tables. We had a few hundred people there. And I remember sitting at that luncheon that day saying, we're going to turn this into our business conference. It's going to become the Empowerment Business Conference with
You
the
did
luncheon in the conference. And it's going to be a 2-day conference, and we're going to have supplier diversity matchmaking. And so even with the pandemic, we pulled it off.
You did.
Thanks to Kimberly, who put together day 2 in like a couple of weeks. And we're going to do better next year.
Yeah.
But we pulled off our virtual
Yeah,
2-day
it was.
business conference, and we're looking forward to hosting it again in August, which is nationally known as Black Business Month. So
It
that's
is.
why we hosted in August. And we're going to, you know, just build and grow upon that. So we were super excited about that. Learned a lot with working with you. And one of the things we're going to look at for next year for 2021 is we want to make sure our members are ready for that conference.
Yes.
So we're going to start the new year off in January, how to write a capability statement.
Yes.
That is going to be the third
Interviewing.
Wednesday
Yes.
of January.
Mhm.
We're going to talk about a lot of things, making sure in February, making sure you have a website and
Yes.
online presence because
Mhm.
companies look at that.
Yes.
Making sure you're certified. So we'll be
Yes.
working with you
I'm
to
here.
make sure our
I'm
members
ready.
are ready in
I'm ready.
August, that they're certified, they have their capability statements.
You're ready.
And so, you know, that is, in a nutshell, I could talk all day,
Yeah.
but that has been some of the things we wanted to bring, is to make sure that there are opportunities for our members to grow. And how can they do that? They need business.
They need business.
They need business. They need contracts.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been focused
And you have a
on.
very strong board of organizations that are looking always to you and your membership for opportunities.
Yes.
Can you speak to some of the members that are on your board, like the companies, the name of the companies?
Absolutely. And thank you for asking
Yeah.
that question. That's so important. We have all the big ones here in
Yeah.
town.
Mhm.
Disney, Universal, the hospitals, Advent Health, Orlando Health. You name them, they're on our
NASCAR,
board.
yeah.
We have NASCAR, we have Duke Energy,
Wyndham.
OUC is coming on our board, Wyndham Destinations. Wyndham is amazing with the partnership.
Mhm.
Even I just got to shout Wyndham out and Jose Naito over there. So, you know, during the pandemic, we've had some of our chamber members who could not renew their dues. And so Wyndham has given the chamber a grant. And if we have active members that have been a part of the chamber, but because of COVID, perhaps that's not in their
Wow.
budget,
Yeah.
because of Wyndham, we're able to
Wow.
extend them for
That's
another
pretty
year.
awesome.
So, you know, these corporations are really invested in our chamber. And when their supply diversity departments are looking for members to engage with, they contact us. So
They do.
that is why it is important
Membership
to
has
be a
its
member
privileges.
of the African American Chamber of Commerce of Central
Membership
Florida.
has its
Yes,
privileges.
it sure does. I agree.
I talked about earlier when I went live, and I want you to talk about some of your accomplishments. And you did talk about a lot of them, like having 625 people at the Eagle Awards. That's crazy growth. But I know personally as a member now, I missed the first one where I think there was a grant for $10,000. It was only for members, and then now there's one that you had recently that was for $5,000, and then you have another one now out. Those are
Yes.
so if you're a small and diverse business, right? And, you're not seeing these grants like you used to see them before because the CARES Act now, or some of the ones that were coming through. There are still corporations that are putting out grants, but now they're having them to be administered through organizations like the African American Chamber of Commerce for their members.
Absolutely.
Because what they know is if they're a member of the chamber, then they are either getting the development they need, they probably are certified or they're authentic business. So they know they're giving the money to someone that is truly a business, not just a front. And so that's why I'm more than anything, I wanted to have you here today, because I want to make sure that I use my platform to let our members know and our movement members know that the African American Chamber of Commerce provides so many services, those that are tangible and intangible. But when we talk about tangible services, we're talking about these grants still in development.
Absolutely. Those grants are important. If I can just touch on the first grant that we administered in May, I was speaking with Sheena, who at the time was a member of our team. Love Sheena. Hi, Sheena, if you're watching. Sheena Jackson.
Love Sheena.
We love you, Sheena. And so I remember kind of doing some research, and it was a Saturday, and I thought, I wish that we could give out grants for our members. And I kid you not, it was on a Saturday, and this was probably in April. And Monday morning, I get an email from a member of the chamber who said that their company wanted to make a donation of $100,000 to the chamber because they believe in what we're doing in the community and for us to help Black-owned businesses with the money. And they wanted no say in how it was administered, just that it was a Black-owned business.
And they didn't want any credit.
And wanted no credit, wanted to remain anonymous.
Come on.
I mean, what? And I'm like, thank you, God.
You heard me. I spoke.
You heard me. You heard me. And so we were able to assist 12 of our chamber members. And then the grant you're speaking about recently is through AT&T. We've partnered with them to give out 3 grants of $5,000 each that has closed. And now we're with Fiserv, who's joined our chamber, where there's $1 million, and they're working with other minority chambers too, but there's $1 million, $1 million that's been set aside, and you can apply for grants up to $10,000.
Now, see, I applied for that.
And you should.
Yeah, I did. I didn't do the other. I didn't do the first one because I didn't qualify. I was in chamber. And then the second one that came along, I was like, I think it should be somebody else that should get it, right? I did. I felt like somebody else should get. Actually, Michelle with Mimi Sugar Scrub.
Mimi Sugar Scrub. I have it on. It's awesome.
I like, you need to apply. And I really didn't apply because I was like, okay, I want someone like Michelle with Mimi Sugar Scrub to win that award, right? But this one came along, and I was like, oh, it's $1 million, a lot more money. Okay,
so please.
So I did apply. It's a questionnaire. Then I think they'll send you.
Yes. And and that is amazing. They have partnered with. They did the Black Chamber up in New Jersey, and then they partnered with the one down in Miami-Dade, and we're the 3rd chamber up here. Wow. So please apply for that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna wrap up the questions but I want to know. Okay, you are very accomplished. You are you're leading one of the largest chambers, African American chambers in the United States, and you use a lot of your intellectual property and a lot of your time to grow this industry. But you're a mom. And you have a beautiful son.
Oh, I love him.
How do you ever have mommy guilt?
Oh, yes. And I think I've cried on your shoulders 1 or 2 times. Kimberly, I do. And, I remember when I first started this position and, the meetings, the coffee meetings at 7:30 in the morning. And although I practiced law and had trials, even when I traveled out of the state, it was still, it was different. And plus, I had a lot of people I was trying to engage with in the community. But I remember rushing every morning. All of a sudden, you got to eat breakfast at school. And he was like, what? Because I would make breakfast. And we were getting in the car one morning. I was dropping him off at like 7 a.m. He was walking in with the principal, and he said, I think you're more stressed now than when you were an attorney. And I was like, oh, gosh, I need to slow down, because this child who was maybe 8 or 9 at the time sees that this is like a lot. So I do have the mommy guilt, but I have I've set some boundaries. I've had to set some boundaries. I can't take calls on Sundays and stuff like that. I've got to put the phone away
Right.
sometimes
Mhm.
because,
And it's okay.
and it's okay to do that.
It's okay. You are
It's
not a doctor who need your
Thank you.
patients
Nobody's going to die.
die if you don't answer that phone.
Nobody's going to die.
But your
Exactly.
child will remember that you didn't devote time to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
yes.
those moms that have businesses, when you're running an organization or you're running a company, yes, you want to give it all you have, but
Absolutely.
you have to set boundaries because your kids will remember that, and that's your
Absolutely.
legacy.
That's my legacy. I
That's
know.
your legacy.
When it's all, done and I'm on my way to glory.
Yes.
And we're having my homegoing
Yes,
celebration.
we're going to Fabulous.
Everybody's going
Me
to
and
say,
Fabulous.
y'all remember the Eagle Awards and
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah. I want Christian, that's my son.
That's her sweetie.
That's my legacy. He's a
Right.
good kid.
Great
He's
kid.
smart. He's
Yep.
successful.
Yep.
That's what I'm leaving behind.
Yeah.
So, so yes. So I've set those boundaries,
Yeah.
and he knows the chamber though, and he knows about Black businesses, and he can tell you off the top of his head who's a member, who's not a member, and all of those things.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
Good. There are women that have mommy guilt. I have mommy guilt. I know Donisha has mommy guilt because we want to lead. Everything we're doing is for our kids.
Yeah.
But it requires me to do some stuff so that I'm not going to be as present if I wasn't. But I know that I'm doing this for you and for my grandkids and my great grandkids.
Absolutely.
So we have questions.
Okay. Yes.
If you had to start over from scratch, knowing what you know now, what would you do differently?
Oh, that's a good
one.
question.
They took like my last question, but
Oh,
it's
that's
okay.
a great question. I don't necessarily, and I had to grow to this place.
Right.
If you'd asked me this maybe 5 or 10 years ago, I would rattle off all the things.
Mhm.
At this point, I don't live with any regrets. And I don't know if I don't think there's anything I would have done differently. I had some things, especially personal things, not
Mhm.
as professionally, did I ever want to be a single mom? Those types of things.
Yeah.
I wish maybe would have gone different, but
Mhm.
there is nothing in my life that I regret.
Yeah.
I believe, life is a journey
It is.
and all of our journeys are different.
Mhm.
This is the journey God has for me, and I thank Him for it. I praise Him for it, and I have no regrets.
That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
This is
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Last question. We have one more question.
Okay.
How can you build and access your support network?
That's important.
Mhm.
Your network is so important.
So important.
It can affect your net worth.
Come
So
on.
you better build that
Come
net
on,
worth.
say it again.
Okay?
Say it
You
again.
better build it. And this is a good way to do it through Women Empowerment Wednesdays and, engage with people. Join the chamber.
Join the chamber.
Build relationships. People like to do business with people that they know and trust. So you have to do that. Find allies. They may not always be people who look like you.
Mhm.
You need allies.
Yes.
You need sponsors, people who speak on your behalf and you don't even know it,
But
but
you're not in
they
the
watched you
room.
from across the room. They've identified something in you that they like, and they can be somewhere in a boardroom and say, you know what? I think Kimberly would be good for this. We should call Kimberly and see if her company should do it.
Mhm.
Make sure you build allies, you build sponsors, and you have mentors.
Yeah.
And those things take time,
They do.
but you have to cultivate those relationships.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
To your point, people do business with people they know and trust, and if they don't know you, if they don't trust your brand, then they can't. Then it almost kind of counterbalances their brand, right? Because if
Absolutely.
I'm speaking on your behalf or I'm recommending you, they're trusting my word.
Absolutely.
They're trusting who I am.
Yes.
And those things only can happen over time. So
Right.
joining the chamber, going to not only just joining,
Don't just join. That's
going
right.
to the events,
Yes.
supporting the events, following up with the resource partners that they have,
Yes.
taking advantage of the development that they offer. And I'm excited about what you're doing coming forward. The capability statements, please,
Yes.
like either write a check to 3D Strategic Management and we can facilitate those trainings.
Yes.
But if you can't, I would love to come in and be an additional speaker because
Absolutely.
through my journey, either I or my team has put together hundreds of capability
Yes.
statements. And so a capability statement is almost like your name. It has to be customized.
Yes.
And your differentiator is the most important part of a capability statement. So it's putting the document together, but it also has to speak to the industry and have those buzzwords
Yes.
and have those differentiators that stand out.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited about that.
Yes.
And anything that 3D
We're going to get you involved on that. Yeah. My mind is thinking. Register, because you could win a chance to have your capability statement
Yes.
prepared by Kimberly.
You could.
And
Yeah.
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 So we're gonna get, we're gonna work this
absolutely.
for sure.
And I will only, so we're getting, okay, we got
We
in
can
trouble.
talk all day.
Yeah, we got in trouble. So, but I'm so excited to have you here today. I'm
Happy to be here.
so proud of the leadership that you
Thank
have for the
you,
chamber.
thank you. And
Keep
I'm proud
going.
of you.
Thank
You're
you.
rocking it.
I'm trying my best. It's a little light. I'm trying to let it shine.
Oh, it's shining bright.
This-
Okay. It is shining bright. Okay.
It's just a little light. I'm trying to shine. God use me. But we want to say thank you so much for participating today in Women Empowerment Wednesday. I hope that you have benefited from all of the resources and tips and tools that these people have imparted in you. If you want to, next we're going to go live on Facebook. We're going to sit and talk for a little with these dynamic women just for a few minutes. But also you can join us. Stay tuned because we're going to be hosting our next Women Empowerment Wednesday in January. I think it's January 13th. We are participating in some stuff the next week, so we won't have it on the third Wednesday, but we will have it next month. And so I'm excited about continuing Women Empowerment Wednesday into 2021 and bringing more dynamic speakers for you, the entrepreneur heart. We are dedicated to your business growing. We're dedicated to bringing powerful women like this dynamic, a woman sitting next to me to come and impart wisdom, who is in a leadership role that can help your business grow. Join the chamber ASAP. And so thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of 2020. There's so much more that you can do. Don't lose hope. Don't give up on your business. Don't give up on your dreams. God is not done in your life. If you woke up with breath in your body, it was because he still has a purpose for you and your business. And we're here to help you. So call us if you need us at 3D Strategic Management. Danisha has told me to wrap it up, or she's going to take away my privilege to talk next month. So with that in mind, we're going to say bye. And my birthday is December 15th. So be looking for me to, be extra all next week, just so you know. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.